Hi everyone, just a quick word ahead of this week's podcast. You may notice that throughout this episode, my audio sounds like I've got my head stuck in a metal bucket. And that's because when we started recording, I pressed the wrong button to select a microphone. Hopefully you'll still enjoy the episode that we've called the World Cup of Bellends. Which is ironic, because by fucking up my audio, I've proven to be more of a bellend than the eventual winner.
So you did a Phil and Holly to get round that bit, didn't you?
Absolutely, yeah, I am better than them, so I deserve to be further forward in the queue. I actually saw somewhere that was advertising the Friday before Black Friday as Grey Friday. Fuck off. It might be quicker for you to leave a voice note, but that's just being selfish because it's longer for me to listen to it. You sacrifice a bit of your time to type it out so that I save time by reading it. A good mate would have let you have that, but I'm not a good mate. I needed to steal it back and crush you. Baz, I am loving this payback. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Mildly Controversial podcast. This week we have a very special edition because it's World Cup themed. Because the World Cup's now underway, we thought we'd do a World Cup themed episode just to get us into the mood of things. Don't worry if you're not into football. This is very, very loosely based around football and is mainly just, as always, two old men bitching about things that don't matter. So don't panic. The first thing I need to do is that I promised the first people to email I would get their names printed on a t-shirt. So look, if you're listening to the audio, this isn't going to mean anything to you, but...
Can I read it out? Hey, Chris David. There you go.
And downwards, we've got Cy. Look at that. A little. So we've got three people there. Chris, David and Cy. So big shout out to them. Cy is from Devon. David is from Australia. Isn't specific about where, but very excited to get feedback from people from Australia. And Chris is somebody who has his own podcast. Not going to promote it too much, obviously, because I want people listening to this and not his. But... he's got a podcast called BDSM, which I thought sounded quite interesting, and I searched it up, and no offence, Chris, but it was slightly less interesting when I realised that that stands for Bloody Dreadful Shite Movies Podcast. So it's funny, I like it, it's a funny acronym, but it did disappoint me a little bit because I was expecting something much, much smuttier. We do have one person who, at the end of last week's, I said that if somebody emailed me to say they made it to the end, then I would get them a prize. It's either Susan Mahoney or Susan Marnie, depending on where you are or which way you want to pronounce each one of those names. You were the first one to email us to say made it to the end. So you get a prize. So email us again with your address and they will send you a prize. Okay, that being done, thanks everybody for interaction. It's nice to know that there are people on the other end because we see the numbers of downloads and listens, but it's nice to know that there are humans behind the numbers. So thanks very much. Right, Baz. So this is World Cup themed, and it isn't going to be. Look, if you're not into football, don't worry. It's not going to be boring. We're not going to talk about actual football, but I am still smarting after last week of getting my arse handed to me in the Who's the Best Bullshitter. Baz absolutely battered me. So I'm going to try and get my own back. What I've got for you here, Baz. And this is a surprise to Baz. He had no clue this was going to happen, but here we go. I've got a little feature which I like to call Baller or Bollocks. So okay, I'm going to give you pairs of names, and you have to decide which one is the actual footballer who is in a squad of a team at this actual World Cup, and which one have I made up in his absolute bollocks. Okay?
Right, I'm on this.
So I've put them in pairs to speed it up instead of doing them one at a time and say, is it a baller or bollocks? One of them is a baller and one of them is bollocks, right? So the first one, the first pair is Yusalis Farkour for Iran or Mustafa Naim for Senegal. Which one of those is true and which one of those have I made up?
So I'm going to guess that Mustafa Naim is the fake one because it sounds like must have a name.
Okay, I've got you.
But I was about to say, I think you've done this one just purely because it sounds like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is full of stuff like that, Baz. So, right, I'm going to keep a score just because I am very bitter about losing so heavily. in the who's the biggest bullshitter, or who's the best bullshitter. I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, so yes, Mustafa Name sounds like I made it up to say must have a name, but that is, I don't know if it's pronounced name, but it's spelled like that. And useless Farcour is just my way of saying useless fucker.
Okay, there you go. Right, Baz, get your ears open. We need to find these.
Right, here we go. Yeah, you got to think that now. You know what's going on. Okay, so the next two are Shaq Moore for USA or Rodrigo Gilberto for Brazil.
I can't find the funnies in those, so I'm just going to go for... I'm going to go for the American as being a fake one.
You're going for the American for being a fake one, and that's 2-0 to me, because Shaq Moore is an actual player for the USA, and Rodrigo Gilberto is just me saying Rod Gilbert in a funny way to make it sound Brazilian.
I'm not keeping score. I'm looking at the 10-0 battering I'm about to get.
Oh, I'm just pleased I've gone into a 2-0 lead here, Baz. Right, the next two. Itifi Albonzin for Qatar or Hwangin Boom for South Korea.
So look, the obvious one for me is Hwangin Boom is the fakie, so I'm going to say that is correct. So the other one is a fake one. So
you've reversed your thinking based on that. You are correct on that one, Baz, because Hwangin Boom is a baller, plays for Olympiacos and South Korea, and Itifi Albonzin, no idea how to pronounce it, but that's what you get out of Google Translate when you put My Petrol Emotion in and ask it to translate it to Arabic.
We should explain that My Petrol Emotion is my TikTok and Instagram name. I've been done with that one before.
Itifi Albonzin, there you go.
You have to send me that so I could change my name on Instagram.
Okay, so that's 2-1, right? The next one is... do apologise for the ones of these who are actual ballers in my dreadful pronunciation, but here we go. Alphonse Areola for France and Amala Dlamini, Dlamini, Dlamini. I can't say DL, whatever. Amala Dlamini for Morocco.
Oh. Well, look, we don't hide our disdain for the French on this podcast, so I'm going to say that's fake. The French one is fake.
The French one is fake. That's another point to me, Baz, because Alphonse Areola is West Ham's goalkeeper, who is also French and in the French World Cup squad. And Amala Dlamini, however you pronounce it, is Doja Cat. That's Doja Cat's real name.
Wow, okay. So educational folks today as well.
There you go. Okay, next up we have got Belcalis Almanzar for Tunisia or Denmark's Martin Braithwaite.
A nice sort of like widespread and different types of names there. Oh, mate. Hey, look, I'm going to do what I always do here. I'm going to base it on the last answer. I think Martin Braithwaite is a famous somebody else, so I'm going to go that's the fake one.
Okay, well, that's 4-1 to me, because Martin Braithwaite is in fact a footballer and is in fact in the Denmark squad. No idea why he's called Martin Braithwaite, but I like the fact that he is.
I mean, it was too obvious that he wasn't, but then, there you go. Who's the other one then? Go on.
Belcalis Almanzar is Cardi B.
So basically, we're playing Spot the Female Rapper this week, aren't we?
This is working tremendously well for my self-esteem, Baz, because I got such a horse in last week, so I'm buzzing. Right. The next two are Ardon Jashari for Switzerland or William Drayton Jr. for the USA.
Oh, that's a great second one. The name of that.
So it's Ardon Jashari for Switzerland or William Drayton Jr. for USA.
Right. So based on the fact you just said the word hard on, I'm going to go that one's the fake.
Okay, Baz. Well, that's 5-1 to me. Because Ardon Jashari is a World Cup player and is playing for Switzerland, whereas William Drayton Jr. is Flavor Flav. Baz, I am loving this payback. I am so pleased.
Can I also just say the order you putting these in is throwing the shit out of me? So yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm so pleased. I'm really pleased because I'm 5-1 up and there's only one to go. So I've got the retribution that I was seeking, and the whole reason that I spent time pulling this together was for this moment where I've got you back, and I've stolen your title of best bullshitter. Okay, the final one, Baz. Joaquin, I presume that's how you pronounce it. Joaquin Bottom for Uruguay, or Ilias Chair for Morocco.
So I'm in this horrible position now. Is the first one so obvious it's real, or is it not? I'm going to say that the first one is real, so therefore number 2 is fake.
Baz, I've done your 6-1. And the reason I've done your 6-1, Baz, is because Ilias Chair is a footballer, plays for QPR and Morocco.
Yep.
And Joaquin Bottom is Joaquin Phoenix's real name, which is tremendous. And, you know, if your name was Joaquin Bottom and you became a famous film star, you can understand why he's replaced the word bottom with Phoenix.
Listen, when we get him on the podcast eventually, we'll ask him about this name change.
So why did you feel the need to change your name from Joaquin Bottom? Because it just sounds like whacking bottom, I suspect.
This leads back to another podcast we've done where I was just saying that literally I'm a guesser, and what I tend to do is I guess the one that I think it is and then say the other answer. And today you threw me with so many back and forths. Yeah, you got me.
I'm absolutely delighted, Baz. So I'm not even going to apologise for how smug I am and how much gloating I'm going to be doing, because I've done your 6-1.
Can I just say as well, though, what Mike fails to mention is the amount of times he's done me in quizzes and various other things we've had in the past. So my one hollow victory from last week is I'm going to live on that forever.
Yeah, well, do you know what? A good mate would have let you have that, but I'm not a good mate. I needed to steal it back and crush you 6-1 in response.
Still, yeah, it's. We'll have to come up with another one of these, like on another time. With you, you're quite good at these, so we should definitely do this again.
Absolutely. And just so you know, the next episode of the Mildly Controversial podcast is going to be very, very special because Baz and I will be in the same room.
Yeah, we haven't done that for a while.
No, we're going to record a couple of podcasts next weekend, and the next one that you hear or see will be me and Baz sat in the same room. So that's ever so exciting.
We'll have the same background for a change.
I know, imagine that. So yeah, for those that don't know, I'm in Donegal in Ireland, and Baz is in some shithole in Bedfordshire. I only say that because Baz wears a t-shirt often saying Bedford is not shit.
I was about to say I live in London, but I'm not going to say it now.
So Baz is in Bedfordshire, I'm in Donegal, so we very rarely get to actually be in the same room. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, so on to the main event tonight, Baz. People may remember we've done a number of these podcasts where we basically just call out people either who need a slap or piss us off. We'll do exactly the same, but in a World Cup format. So the way this is going to work is I've got a list of 8 types of people that I class as bellends. So what we're going to do, you're going to pick them out one by one. We're going to put them on I've got a little World Cup wall chart next to me that I'm going to fill in. So we're going to go through round by round who is the biggest bellend out of the 2 that are competing, and then it'll go through to the semi-finals, then the finals, and we will decide who out of the 8 is the biggest bellend in a World Cup format. Okay?
I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, so Baz, I've got numbers 1 to 8. You're going to verbally do the draw. So the first match of the 4 quarterfinals is going to be which number versus which number. Right,
so I'm just going to go top and bottom. So I'll go 1 versus 8.
Okay, so 1 versus 8 in the first quarterfinal. We will talk about each one of these. I'll talk them through. I'll talk you through why I think they're bellends, and then we'll have a discussion on who wins. All right?
Go on.
So the first one, Baz, is one that I know is very close to your heart because you came up with it on one of the previous episodes. And number 1 is drivers that block a lane when everyone's queuing before roadworks. So,
Yep. Yep.
this is one where I know we have people listening from different parts of the world, and I'm not sure this is a worldwide thing, but the majority of our, 60% of our listeners are from the UK. They will definitely understand this. When there's roadworks and you get a sign that says 600, 800 meters till the roadworks, it's when people insist on getting into one queue, making the queue for the roadworks twice as long as it needs to be, instead of just filing in 2 lanes and letting one person in at the front. The people specifically on this one are the ones who think they've got a right 600 meters away from where the roadworks actually are to drift out into the right lane to stop you getting to the front. Those are the bellends that we're talking about.
Hate them.
Absolutely. I encountered one just the other day, Baz. It's almost like the universe brought one of these bellends into my life after we spoke about it. I was on my way back from the airport. There was a road that went from 2 lanes down to 1, and 800 meters before the road went down from 2 lanes to 1, there was a massive long 800 meter queue with nobody in the outside lane. So I was just like, nah, I'm going down the outside lane because that's the sensible thing to do.
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Absolutely. So about halfway down, somebody drifted out, and they only kind of came halfway out because they didn't want to lose their place in the queue they'd been sat in for far too long. So they only came halfway out. So I just drove up a grass verge to go round them and prove a point.
So you did a Phil and Holly to get round that bit, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I am better than them, so I deserve to be further forward in the queue. So that is the first one. So it's people who think they've got a right to stop you going down an empty lane towards roadworks. Okay, that's one.
It's going to be hard to beat.
Well, up against them are people who leave voice notes instead of text messages. Ooh. I'm going to talk you through it, Baz. That pisses me off for a couple of reasons. And my wife is a culprit at times. Because firstly, I'm quite often in places that I don't want to, broadcast the message from my wife. I'm quite often I'm in a shop or I'm in a pub, and I don't want to broadcast what my wife's got to say to me to the general public. The second one is that some people do this a lot. So it will be, if you look back in a text, you're trying to find some information. You're trying to find the date that that you're meeting up, or the time that you're meeting up,
or an address. Yeah.
Or anything like that. All you've got is just a list of sound files. You haven't got a fucking clue, and you're not going to go back and listen to them all. And the third reason is that loads of people, that the idea of I don't particularly like speaking to people on the phone. Okay, I just like quick WhatsApp or quick text message, functional, right? Cut to the point. No. Some people are under the misconception that leaving a voice note is quicker. It's not quicker, because you end up starting off for a start going, I'm just leaving you this voice note just to, because it's a lot quicker than sending a text, isn't it? So I just wanted to leave this thing, to send ramble, and there's 3 minutes of voice note that could have been summed up in literally 4 sentences at most in a text, and I could have got through much, much quicker, right? So those are the reasons that I'm proposing, or that people who leave voice notes instead of text messages have been nominated as a bellend and are now up against the people who don't drive to the front of a queue of people queuing up at roadworks when there's a lane going down into one.
Well, yeah, so it's quite a good tie. I mean, I chose a number, so that's down to me. Like to have chosen I can't get past the fact that people that pull out in the road to stop you getting past, or do all those other things, fucking get annoyed at you for doing the right thing. I just can't get past those people. Are absolute fucking bellends. Whereas I sometimes get that, if you're, I don't know, certain circumstances, typing can't do it. There's a bit of nuance, but yeah, I don't like it either, because you'll only see this if you're watching on YouTube. You're not going to do this all the time, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah, holding the phone up horizontally to your ear like you don't understand how to use a fucking telephone.
Exactly.
That's what you have to resort to. But you did say there are circumstances where you need to leave a voice note. I propose, Baz, that the only circumstance that would mean that you have to leave a voice note is fucking laziness. Use your thumbs, right? Just text it. It might be quicker for you to leave a voice note, but that's just being selfish because it's longer for me to listen to it. You sacrifice a bit of your time to type it out so that I save time by reading it.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
So, okay, I think, Baz, I agree, and I think we are going to get the Bellend traffic queue people. They are going to progress to the next round because they are worse than the people who leave a voice note. But I did feel that these voice note Bellends were worthy of inclusion and had to be called out for being Bellends.
Yeah, if they were against England, that would have been a closer tie.
Yeah, so they're the people who leave voice notes instead of text messages are not as big a bellend as the people who try to stop you going up an empty lane of traffic. But to be fair, the voice noters were lucky they came up against such a big a big bellend in that one, so they didn't progress to the next round.
Well, they were unlucky, so they probably went out 1-0 or on penalties, I reckon. Yeah,
but see, it's kind of a converse because we're looking for the biggest bellend. You want to not progress.
Oh, right, one, okay. You see? Okay, right, I'm with you.
So it's a bit like it's a bit like they've been knocked out by it's the opposite of a giant killing.
Gotcha.
It was like these bellends the bellends of who leave voice notes instead of text messages are probably kind of like, I don't know, let's say Reading, yeah, but they came up against United in the form of these dickheads who don't let you past in a traffic queue. So and that's not to say that United fans are more dickheads than Reading fans, but they might be. I don't know. That's a bit too close to actual football to get into a discussion about that one.
And if you are in other parts of the world, that's Manchester United.
yeah, definitely not Newcastle United. They're not dickheads. Okay, Baz. So you've got 2 through to 7, and you've got to pick the next tie.
Right, I'm going to go in the middle this time. I'm going to go 4 versus 5.
Okay, so 4 versus 5. So we have number 4 is anyone who uses the phrase "I was today years old." Absolutely boils my piss.
I mean, we should point out that this is quite an internet thing, isn't it? I don't know many people do it in real life.
I think it is. It's worming its way into real life and actual conversations, Baz, and it needs to be called out for being bellend behaviour so that this stops. Because I was today years old, right? I was today years old is 5 syllables, right? The actual phrase that we've been using for decades is "I just found out," and that's 4. Yes. So by trying to be cool and sounding like a bellend, you've actually spent more time trying to say what you're saying. I'm a bit of a stickler for grammar because I don't think it's difficult to stick to, even in text messages and social media and things like that.
Correct.
So I am quite a stickler for grammar, and "I was today years old" is just deliberately using shit grammar to seem cool, and I don't see how using shit grammar could be, it's like, I don't use normal grammar, that makes me cool. Using good grammar doesn't make you cool, but using shit grammar definitely doesn't make you cool. So the next bellend is local radio DJs. Okay, and I have this is quite a personal one, just because the only reason I thought of it was something that happened in actual real life on the radio 2 days ago. Local radio DJs, I listen to local radio, I like local radio, but sometimes they've just run out of ideas and they just come out with some utter shit just because they've got to fill time. I mean, they don't come out with phenomenal ideas like doing a World Cup of Bellends, do they? No. It takes a little bit of preparation.
They come out, what's your favourite cheese?
Yes. Well, I'll give you the example I'm talking about, Baz, from 2 days ago. Our local radio, Highland Radio, if you want to check it out on the internet, it is available on the internet. Highland Radio Ireland is the one that I heard today was in a fact of the day section, and the phrase itself was fact of the day. You never see your own face apart from in mirrors or photographs.
Wow.
That was the fact of the day.
With that bombshell.
Is effective fact of the day. Your eyes are on the front of your fucking head. Okay? It's just ridiculous. So saying that and thinking, oh, I know, fact of the day, there's a good one. Right, he's a bellend for saying that, right? But anybody who was sat at home and went, oh yeah, not thought about that, is also a bellend. So we've got double bellendery going on there. We've got the battle between people who use the phrase "I was today years old" and local radio DJs. What are your thoughts, Baz?
Well, so the first one, I've seen it so many times. It was we're both from social media, so TikTok was my first place of seeing that. That became a sort of a meme as such as was there. I've never used it in real life. I've never used it in a video. So yeah, that's just one of your favorite. My favorite phrase of yours. That's shithousery, isn't it? To be fair,
it is.
Yeah. The second one, it's been going on for a long, long time, and it's almost like you go to a certain school to learn to become a local radio bellend. And also they've got that same vernacular how they say, have they? Oh, hey, what a great day, everybody. It's fantastic.
Let's smash you and nicey.
Yeah. So it's a tough one, this. I think I'm personally irritated more by local DJs because I've listened to some of those on occasions where, as you say, the example you use is very, very normal for them to come up with something so fucking inane and try and turn it into something. I bet you didn't know this, did you?
Right, okay.
And also, could I just say, supported by all the people that actually went, oh, no, I didn't know that, when it's fucking obvious.
That was a very specific example.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got... Look, I'm leaning towards the people who use the phrase, I was today years old. So this one's gone to penalties.
Yeah.
That's exciting, isn't it? So, yeah, well, or extra time. This has gone to extra time because it's 1-1. But... I'm thinking I was today years old simply because I'm thinking more specifically about people our age who use it. And it's like, I was today years old when I found that. It's like, today years old isn't even a thing. And it's just, I don't understand why people have just, it just sounds fucking stupid. And people using something that sounds fucking stupid to seem cool, I think is, and I will defend local radio DJs because they are shit, but like you say, they've been around for a long time. So if you do listen to local radio, as I do, you kind of take that with a pinch of salt, and you kind of accept that is what they're like, and you kind of quite enjoy it. A lot of people like them, whether it's just genuinely like them or like the irony of the Alan Partridge-like shite they come out with, which is why I enjoy them.
Let me do my part of extra time then. So I think what's happened with your phrase of saying you're sort of specifically aiming at older people has swayed me. So I think what we're looking at now is like it's the 14th minute of the second half of extra time, and the goalkeeper's fumbled the ball, and a striker of whatever his name is, one of your listeners earlier, has hopped on that and belted the ball in the net at the very last minute. So it's the whole point of. You've just swayed it by saying that people who shouldn't be using it. I mean, if you're a kid, you don't know any better, do you? As an adult, you fucking shouldn't you?
Absolutely. So I was today years old goes through to the semi-final
in extra time. I like it.
Oh, it's very exciting. Right. Okay, Baz, we have 2, 3, 6, and 7 left.
I'm going to go for 7 and 2.
Okay, so 7. First up is 7. Number 7 is people who were wearing sunflower lanyards so they didn't have to wear a mask in a supermarket, who now all of a sudden don't have additional needs due to hidden disabilities.
Okay.
Let's get this right out there. The sunflower lanyard is a brilliant thing to identify people who've got additional needs that you can't see. It certainly was a thing before COVID. You may have people on the autistic spectrum who need it, or people who have difficulty hearing, or process things in a different way, some learning difficulties and things like that. So the fact that they can identify themselves in a non-embarrassing way to get help when they need it is a brilliant system. Okay, that is not up for debate. What is up for debate is all these pricks who started wearing them just so they didn't have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
A lot of people were wearing them, even though they had additional needs, when those additional needs have nothing to do with whether you had to wear a mask or not.
Yeah, they didn't involve breathing.
Exactly. or some people on the autism spectrum found it kind of started to have panic attacks or things like that. I get that, all right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people were just like, oh yeah, well, I technically qualify for one of these sunflower lanyards. I've never worn one in the past, but I don't fancy wearing a mask in a supermarket, so I'm going to wear it. Anyway, all the ones who aren't wearing them anymore, that's who I'm talking about. All right, so that's number 7. And what did you say? It was 7 versus what?
2.
Okay. This is a favourite of a lot of people, Baz.
Okay.
People who run a restaurant who serve food on a fucking shovel.
and Brazil have entered the tie.
Here they come, storming through, doing keepy uppies on the way to the centre circle.
I think it's still worth making a game of it. Go on.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you haven't heard the episode or seen the viral TikTok that came from that, what we're talking about here is restaurants who think they're cool by serving food on a shovel.
Poo.
Serving poo.
That's next.
Restaurants who think they're cool by serving food on a breadboard, on a slate, on a shovel, on a dustbin lid. Loads of, when we put that out onto TikTok, loads of people came in with loads of other things. And apparently there is a Reddit, there is a subreddit on that very subject, and there is a Facebook group also about food being served and stupid things. So there's a groundswell of support for that one. And yeah, I just think, and a lot of people responded to the TikTok saying, "Oh, why don't you just eat in fucking McDonald's then?" I was like, I'm not being funny. I have eaten in some of the best restaurants in the world. Okay, I've eaten in Nobu in California, and I've eaten in one of the finest seafood restaurants in the world in the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai, just to name a couple.
Yeah.
In my corporate life, I was always going to really fancy restaurants. And I'll tell you right here, right now, the food might have looked poncy, but it was always on a fucking plate.
Yeah.
It's not those people. It's not the actual fine dining, posh, decent, great food that is served on all those fucking gimmicks. It's the people who are serving the same shit as other restaurants, but want to make it look a bit better and charge more and create this really cool vibe, which it doesn't.
Right, okay, so we shouldn't forget the first one about the lanyards. Yeah, honestly, bullshitters like Ashley Bellends who do that, because they're kind of putting the whole use of that badge backwards a bit when they were doing it. And you and I both had to wear masks, irrespective of anything else. Like, just saying you don't like something, it doesn't give you a reason to go and use some other kind of device to stop you having to do it. And the whole thing about COVID at the time was, it was the one sort of true thing where we were kind of all in it together, because you had some people who just completely chose to fucking ignore everything, and even the people who set the rules did that. So I mean, the thing is, so that is shithousery, but I can understand why people don't want to wear masks, but you're still a wanker, to be fair. But
and I said, nobody wants to wear a mask. Do you know what? Nurses don't want to wear masks, but they've been wearing those disposable masks for decades.
Yeah.
Surgeons have to wear the proper ones, and they have done for decades. So just because you can't be arsed wearing one in Tesco, don't, to your point, don't water down a really good system of identifying people who've got additional needs, which is the sunflower lanyard, because people, whether we like it or not, people don't, as a consequence of that happening, people don't respect the sunflower lanyard as much as they used to. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that got a bit serious then. So anyway, so let's have it right. It's a fucking walkover for the shovel food people, isn't it? So, well, that means that the last tie is 3 versus 6.
Yep.
Okay, so number 3 is UK marketing departments calling a November sale Black Friday. You can fuck right off with that, because I'm going to tell you something now, right? In the States, people who are listening in the States, they know exactly what Black Friday is, okay? Yeah. Black Friday is on Friday, funnily enough. It's the day after It's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it is when a store will have maybe like 10 TVs and discount them to like $100, so people have to queue overnight and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, and it's kind of a big thing, and it's huge discounts on a very limited amount of things, and it's one day, and that makes sense. Okay, UK marketing departments. Firstly, it's an American thing, so fucking stop it. Right. Secondly, Black Friday. I got an email saying like Black Friday deals have started 3 days ago. All right.
Yeah.
Firstly, it was a fucking Wednesday. And secondly, Black Friday's not until a week on Friday. So it's like 10 days too early, and it lasts for like 2 weeks. And it's like, I saw an electrical retailer on TV advertising Black November deals. Fucking stop it. It's just a pre-Christmas sale. You're panicking that you haven't sold enough before Christmas, so you're having a sale, right? I actually saw somewhere that was advertising the Friday before Black Friday as Grey Friday. Fuck off. Just fuck off. So yeah, that nomination of being Bellend is anybody who works in a UK marketing department who is running any sort of Black Friday deal that is anything other than 1 day, limited stock, ridiculously deep discounts. Right? Yeah. Anything other than that is not Black Friday, so fucking stop it.
Good. Who are they up against?
Okay, so they're up against number 6, which is people who overuse the phrase life-changing. And I will give you a great example, Baz. Last week, on the same day, I heard it used twice. Once was on on radio news about somebody in a car accident who suffered life-changing injuries. Okay, life-changing injuries is a euphemism for brain injury or loss of limb or so. Fucking catastrophic, literally life-changing. Okay, that's what it means. That same day, I saw somebody post a TikTok saying that a hack of using a dishwasher tablet to clean your oven door was also life-changing. It's not, so fucking stop it. Right? It's handy.
Yeah.
It might be a bit of a surprise. It might make you go, "Ooh, hadn't thought of that." None of those things are life-changing.
Yes.
None of them. Stop it.
All right, so look, we can mention 2 people though in that group that we've had on the podcast in previous episodes. If you want to go and find them, we have Tina Stike Leather, Tina and Max, and Stephen Robinson I mentioned earlier. Both had life-changing experiences, which did change their lives and continue to change their lives. Sometimes, and in some cases they can be for the better, even out of horrific, changes. So let's get that out of the way.
Yep.
Let's go on to Black Friday. Because it's such a weird thing. I view Black Friday as a little bit like Halloween. Like Halloween was always a really massive American thing, and for many, many years it wasn't celebrated. In any other country in the world. Halloween's fun. Let's be fair, compared to the sales stuff. Because basically, like Mike said, it's just it's an insidious way of selling stuff that you can't get rid of, right? And by tackling it, to have Grey Friday it's just bending it, isn't it?
When I read that phrase Grey Friday, I felt that deep in my soul. A little bit of me died when I read that. It was just horrendous.
Yeah, so once again you've set a tough one really, because the people that go, oh yeah, I learned how to do a thing today which just changed my life. I guess if you were a painter and you found a better way of doing a painting from a hack, it probably would change your life a little bit, but it's not life changing, is it? So I think I kind of see the necessity of people coming up with marketing stuff, because let's face it, every kind of marketing thing's been done over the years, and that's just a sign of desperation. So I think I'm going to go for me personally, the people that use life changing when it isn't fucking life changing as being the bigger Bellends, because that's attacking a whole group of people that have genuinely had life changing stuff.
Absolutely, I agree, Buzz. As you can tell from the rant I went on, Black Friday winds me up more.
Yeah.
But as you say, having known people who have been through genuinely life-changing events, similar to the lanyards thing, I think it's hugely disrespectful. And also it is undoubtedly the behaviour of a bellend to describe something life-changing. Use another phrase.
Yeah, I was literally going to say the same
Come
thing.
up with another phrase. Don't use life-changing, because life-changing is a literal phrase. It's not just something that some people say. It is a literal phrase that exists when talking about like somebody who didn't die, but the impact of what has happened will last forever. Okay, that's how serious it is. So we are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup of Bellends. It's getting close. We're down to the last 4. So the first semi-final we've got is the people who refuse to let people pass them into an empty lane of traffic when they're queuing unnecessarily for roadworks are up against anyone who uses the phrase "I was today years old."
Oh, okay. So this is like maybe the Netherlands up against Sweden. It's kind of that mid. Those 2 good teams that could win. I'm always going to go for Holland in this instance because those people fucking irritate me. And I see them more often than I see the other one.
I would agree, Baz, and I think the impact of their bellendery, which is now a new word that it's a phrase I've just coined, but the magnitude of their bellendery is greater than the people who just use a phrase which makes me want to slap them.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
I could block those people as well. So
exactly. So yeah, I'm. That's it. We thought it was going to be a close tie, that one, but that looked like the Bellends who block a lane that could be used went into an early 3-0 lead, and that match was over very soon. That was the rest of that match was just watching the clock, waiting for it to happen. It was that match was over in reality was over very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other semi-final we have people serving food on shit they think is cool up against the overuse of the word life-changing.
Oh, see, this is different because it's quite a big team against a sort of smaller team. This is a bit like Argentina versus Cameroon, isn't it?
My thoughts, Baz, are clearly the overuse of the phrase life-changing is more offensive and could upset quite a few people. But in my view, that's way too fucking serious for this podcast. So people serving food on stupid shit, in my view, gets through to the final.
Do you know what? I mean, I think if you're going to go against the other one, I think we're slightly docked to this one because I do think, I think the food one's always our pet hate. Definitely.
And do you know what, Baz? I think this is one of those that it's like this might have been the stronger semi-final. Do you know what I mean? There's always one in there. But honestly, it's like no, we've said our piece on the fact that it's overusing the word life-changing is a horrible thing, and stop fucking doing it because you're being a bellend by doing it. Yeah. We've made our point on that. We can get back to being flippant and stupid and talk about stop serving food on a fucking shovel. Okay, so superb. So that's through to the final. Okay.
Oh, this is a tough one now.
Right, Baz. We have the unenviable task of deciding who is the bigger bellend between people who deliberately stop you going down an empty lane of traffic and create a massive long queue when they're unnecessarily before roadworks, up against people serving food on fucking stupid items just to make their restaurant seem cooler or their food seem better than it actually is. Yeah. I'll let you go first, Baz. It's a tough one.
Well, look, so the only way I can rationalise this at all is you can choose not to go back to that restaurant if you so desire, whereas you can't fucking avoid those idiots on the road. So I'm sticking with my super pet hate of people blocking you on the road.
Okay, I'm going to think out loud on this one just because I haven't decided. So the food thing is definitely a pet hate. I just think it's such a wanky thing to do. But I think because I've phrased this the World Cup of Bellends. I do think the people who think they've got a God-given right to stop you driving down an empty lane on a road just because they're fucking stupid enough to queue up for ages unnecessarily in a sort of, I've been queuing up, so you have to queue up. No, dickhead, I don't.
You're told not to as well.
Exactly. And I have to queue up. And do you know what? By not queuing up, if everybody didn't queue up in one lane, it would help everybody else. So I think the queue thing is more of a Bellend thing to do because it's deliberate. Oh, like I say, I'm thinking out loud here, but I think I've got to my decision because the plate thing, they're trying to be cool. And in my eyes, they're just seeming a bit fucking desperate. And
they've missed, haven't they? They've missed.
Yeah, they've tried to be cool. And by trying to be cool so hard, they've gone full circle and ended up looking like Bellends. Whereas the people who are doing the blocking, they know they're being a Bellend.
Yeah.
They know that they are deliberately being a twat and stopping you. They might think they're stopping you being a twat, which, in a kind of misguided opinion, they may think that they're stopping you being a twat by not queuing up with everybody else. But they know that what they're doing is a Bellend thing to do, but they don't care because they think your Bellendery usurps their Bellendery. They think they're like a Bellend vigilante, and they're sticking up for all the other fucking idiots who've queued in a massive long queue when they didn't need to. So the whole misguided thing that they think they're doing a good thing, but also knowing that they're doing a Bellend thing at the same time. I think, Baz, we've got a winner.
Yes.
I think we've got a winner. And well done for bringing it up in a previous episode as well, Baz, because out of all those, that's the only one you came up with. So you've it's a bit like when Denmark didn't qualify for the Euros, got brought in at the last minute and went all the way to the final and won it.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that, Baz.
Can I just say as well, for people who agree with us about this, I'm there to help you, because when I get into the queue, having got further down the front, I leave a big juicy gap in front of me all the time.
But Baz, in your own way, that is Bellendery on your part as well.
Oh, that's irritating the people behind.
It's commendable Bellendery, but what you do that not to be kind of gallant and or gallant, however you pronounce it, and and polite and altruistic. You do that to piss off the people who've waited forever, are annoyed that you've cut in front of them, and now you're letting other people cut in front of you.
I've let loads in before as well.
Put your hazards on and pull your handbrake.
I put my arm out the window and I'm waving people down like this.
Brilliant. Okay, well done. So there it is. That's it. It's official. The winner of the inaugural World Cup of Bellends is people who think it's okay to pull out into an empty lane to stop you driving down an empty lane. And all the reasons we've stated before. So if you are one of those people, please stop being a Bellend. The two lanes up until the roadworks are both supposed to be used because it halves the length of the traffic queue. And sometimes that traffic queue will go beyond a junction, so people can't get off the junction, so you're making people late.
Yes.
In the misguided logic that we're British, we have to queue. Only when it makes sense. You only queue when it makes sense. And in this circumstance, it doesn't make sense. So stop it, you're being a Bellend.
Yeah, that's definitely a time where we shouldn't all be in it together, because that's ridiculous.
So, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the vaguely World Cup themed episode of the Mildly Controversial Podcast. As I say, next week's episode, Baz and I will be in the same room. We're going to record a couple of episodes in the same room. Got a few interesting things planned that we can't do when we're in two different countries. So looking forward to that one. Don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to do all the subscribey stuff. Tell everyone about what we do and get in touch with us. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube as Mildly Pod, and the email is mildlypodcast@gmail.com. So don't forget to get in touch, and thanks for listening, and we will see you next time around.
See ya.